Registration of candidates for the British Prime Minister is completed. 8 applicants will compete for the post. New Prime Minister will be announced on 5th of September. However, bookmakers have already named 3 leading candidates to replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister of Great Britain. They are Penny Mordaunt, Minister of State, Rishi Sunak, former Chancellor of the Exchequer, and Truss, Foreign Secretary. But what can be said about the activities of these 3 politicians through the lens of the war in Ukraine? Penny Mordaunt made history, becoming the UK's first male defense secretary in 2019. She took part in organizing charitable aid to Ukraine. From the first days, she called for unlimited assistance to Ukrainians in the fight against the monstrous Russian invasion. For example, at the beginning of March, when the military situation was threatening to the Ukrainian capital, she called on fellow citizens and business to send personal safety equipment to Ukraine.
I represent Portsmouth. There's a lot of ex-military and military people there. They're bound to have some of this kit up their lofts, and I was right. So military spouses have been having a good spring clean and chucking away all the kit that they've been tripping over for years. And we've been really inundated. We put out this appeal, and we've been able to collect a lot of kit. But other parts of the country will be in a similar position, and I would encourage you, if you've got old body armor, it's got to be level 4 or above, helmets, anything that can protect either soldiers or civilians. Please do send it to, it's actually the Ukrainian Social Club in London. That's the hub for collecting this stuff.
Regarding Ms. Mordaunt's position on Russia, probably in case of her election, Boris Johnson will be remembered nostalgically in the Kremlin.
The bottom line is Putin has to fail. Putin cannot hold on to any square inch of territory that he has gone into, and he cannot consolidate territory that was in dispute before this particular war started. He has to fail.
Another candidate, Rishi Sunak, as Chancellor of the Exchequer, spoke more often about the war in Ukraine through the prism of economic consequences. Despite the fact that Rishi Sunak was not distinguished by a large number of public statements regarding Ukraine, it is worth noting that he participated in the development of financial support measures for Ukraine. Mr. Sunak called Putin's invasion barbaric and illegal, that would have devastating consequences not only for Ukraine but also disrupt the global economy.
We should be in no doubt. Behind Putin's invasion is a dangerous calculation that democracies are divided, politically weak and economically insecure, incapable of making tough long-term decisions to strengthen our economies. Mr. Speaker, this calculation is mistaken. What the authoritarian mind perceives as division, we know are the passionate disagreements at the heart of our living, breathing democracy. What they see as chaos, we know is the freedom to be dynamic and innovative. And what they call the inherent weakness of open societies and free economies, we know is the source of our strength.
As for Truss, her support for Ukraine as the head of British diplomacy has sounded very decisive since the beginning of the large-scale invasion. The leitmotif of Truss' public activity can be considered this quote from the politician's article in the Express Publishing. Strategic and moral imperative for us all is that Ukraine wins.
We're working together to deliver 2 clear objectives. First, Putin must lose in Ukraine. We're helping Ukraine defend itself. Our defensive weapons from the United Kingdom are now being used to stop Russian tanks, but we need to do more. Secondly, we must contain this aggression. We are reinforcing NATO's eastern flank and supporting European security through the UK-led Joint Expeditionary Force.
A fierce struggle for the Conservative Party leadership is ahead. Perhaps even a sensational victory of another candidate awaits us. However, there is no intrigue in the issue of comprehensive support for Ukraine, both among the ruling Conservative Party and among broad circles of British politicians and society as a whole. Anyway, what does the change of the British leadership mean for Ukraine? I have asked Yehor Brailian, historian specializing in Britain and correspondent of Army Inform, to share his view on that.
For Ukraine, it's very important to understand that the British military, economic, and humanitarian support will continue, and we can be sure that Great Britain will strengthen Ukrainian security when the armed forces of Ukraine are resisting full-scale Russian invasion. Finally, I want to emphasize that the main results, in my opinion, of Boris Johnson's premiership is that he was capable of deterring Russian influence in Great Britain and providing all possible support for Ukraine. That's why I think that when Boris Johnson was the British Prime Minister, he has formed the new form of British foreign policy, including the strengthening of British influence in Eastern Europe, and Boris Johnson's resignation is a turning point in the British-Ukrainian relations. However, it won't change the strategic goal of London, the help of Ukrainian fight for freedom and democracy.
Subscribe here to receive more videos from the New Geopolitics Research Network.